they're against the cap and they paid one guy too much money, or they're trying to get out of a contract. And I was making $3 million a year at the time, and it was great. But I also came off an injury,
right?
And I was personally, between me and you and everyone listening, I was more than happy with taking minimum and competing against Brady Ewing, but I didn't get the chance. And it's everything happens for a reason. So I had more than enough concussions after almost 10 years. So it was time for me anyway.
Right.
Guys are now leaving the game early because of concussions. So my wife was very excited that I decided to call it quits because it takes one wrong hit. It's a wonderful, violent, physical sport, and that's why we love it. But according to this concussion lawsuit that the NFL had to just sign off on, $1 billion plus, they know that it's also causing some damage long term to players, and they have to admit that. So I think 10 years was enough.
Right. And you were a Falcon about 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, I was Falcon for almost 6 years.
6 years. So Matt Ryan was the quarterback the whole time?
Yeah. No, actually, funny story, Michael Vick was the quarterback.
Okay.
My first year.
Your first year.
I came in 2007, the Bobby Petrino year.
Oh, my God.
Didn't ask that question. That was a debacle in itself.
Yes.
And that was a special moment in my career. I came from a stable Ravens team where, man, I got to play with some legends like Deion Sanders. Locker was 2 down from mine. Ray Lewis. I used to bang heads with him every day, twice a day when we had 2 days.
Yeah.
Going up against Peter Boulware, Ed Hartwell, Bart Scott, Adelius Thomas. Now lives in my neighborhood up in Duluth. Like, I had the who's who. I mean, these cats just won the Super Bowl a year or two before. In 2001, I came in 2003.
Yeah.
And they were just I was trying to survive. I think part of the reason that I did so well in the NFL was that games were easy. Practice was hellacious. And these guys were coming like heat-seeking missiles. They were low, they were fast, they were aggressive, they were physical, they were scary. They're downright scary.
Yeah.
And I don't get intimidated often, but I felt like Ray Lewis' eyes were like just red all the time. And he's just snarling and growling, and it was to where I had to stop, calm myself down at times because I'm like, dang,
wow,
these boys is fire. And they say the NFL is faster, the speed of the game, they talk about it. There's no way to describe the speed of the game and the jump that it takes from college to the NFL, especially when you're going up against some of the monsters that the Ravens had on their team.
Right.
So coming from that team and coming from that space where winning was the usual, and you had your vets and your leaders, and then coming to the Falcons,
yep,
where Bobby Petrino didn't know what the heck he was doing at the time. Great college coach, as you see, he
right,
can do whatever he wants and ride motorcycles and mess up and be embarrassed, but he'll still get another contract because he's an amazing college coach.
Right.
Not a very good NFL coach. That's not his forte, and he knows it. But Michael Vick, I came down there to play with Michael Vick.
Yeah.
He was one of the first guys who called me. And he was the first guy who called me after I signed my $18 million deal and highest paid fullback in NFL history and all that hoopla.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike called me. I was like, hey, I'm excited to work with you. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. Even moved into the same neighborhood that Mike was living at. I wanted to, bond my quarterback, all that good stuff. And then 2 months later, all that dog stuff happened, and things just, went to hell. Like, we had helicopters going over our practice. We had, media almost blocking the way to get into the facility. And, you were there. Everyone in Atlanta remembers what happened.
Yes.
But I was just like, man, what did I get myself into? Because I had the option to go to Tampa Bay with the Buccaneers, the New York Giants, or the Falcons. And the Falcons, offered the most money. It's where my agent, Todd France, was.
Mm-hmm.
It also is closer to my hometown, Charleston, South Carolina. And actually, Tampa might be closer. But, I was just comfortable with Atlanta because I used to work out here in the off-season. And the girls were prettier than Baltimore. So I was excited.
So,
so it's a bunch of things. And so, getting to see Michael Vick again for the first time since 2007, this past Sunday, was a real cool thing.
Yeah, so how did it feel at that time with the coach skipping town and the Vic debacle that happening? at that time, and everybody having that uncertainty. Like, okay, what are we doing now? You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know what it was. Man, I didn't know how to feel. I just felt bad because you talk about the haters, man. I had haters and then some because people were just thinking, like, we're trying to win a championship. Every offseason, you're like, all right, what piece do we need? A linebacker. Let's get us a DN. Let's get us a good a second-string wide receiver. Let's get us a quarterback. No one, I repeat, no one in their right mind says, you know what we really need to get to a Super Bowl? Let's go pay a fullback the $18 million. Let's do that. Let's go find a fullback that we can get a whole bunch of money to and make him the highest paid fullback in NFL. Not just in the NFL right now, in the history of the game. Let's do that. No one says that.
Nope.
And I'm fine with no one saying that, but I did know that I was worth it. I do know I had something special. I did know that after being tutored by Ray and them boys, I was able to handle any linebacker with ease.
Right.
And I feel like I was a man amongst boys, and so I couldn't really show that off the first year. But Trino didn't even play me. Here was the weird part. I was only in like 28% of the plays.
Oh, wow.
All season. Because he got me down there. That made the fans even more hostile towards me. The fans, out there
money.
doing the numbers and saying, you pay this dude, whatever, and so per play, he's making, like $20,000 per play because you ain't playing him, yada, yada. I'm like, it ain't my fault.
So 680 and 790 the zone was on you then, huh?
It was all on me. It was like, the reason we ain't doing good is because we didn't fill our holes. We didn't get a DN. We didn't get a linebacker. We didn't get an offensive tackle. We got a fullback. That's the reason we lose. Like, nah, reason we're losing is because we got Byron Leftwich and Joey Harrington as our quarterbacks, and they struggling. Like my man Chris Redmond was the best of the three at that time.
Right.
I played with Chris in Baltimore, and he was stable. He was at least stable.
Right.
The rest of them cats was not stable at all.
It wasn't stable.
And so, I dealt with the haters the whole time. So it wasn't until Matt Ryan came the next year, and we got Michael Turner, and we had a chance to really go out there and show, what a running game looks like and what I could do.
Right.
Even with Warwick Dunn there, Warwick was more of a shifty guy. He wasn't really. He's not a power back.
He ain't going behind the fullback. Right.
Me being a power fullback, it works better to work with a power back.
Right.
So me and Warwick, we just didn't quite fit. It's like putting a square peg into a round hole. We just didn't quite fit together. But with me and Mike Turner, you look at Mike, you say he's a power back.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
So we handle business, man. And all the haters, all the Ovie haters, finally started to say, oh, that Mughelli kid, he worth the money. He doing his thing. I can catch him all the backfield too. 3rd and 1 is automatic for me. Goal line situations, I make it happen. So it felt good to show people what I could do.
Right. I think you would work perfect in this system right now. If we didn't have DeMarco and Freeman coming behind you, I think it would have worked perfect.
Oh, yeah. He a power back. For the way Freeman runs, he runs angry.
Yeah.
I talked to about that in another interview about how I'd love to block for Freeman, man. He gets me hyped just watching him.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. All right, so we had a lot of awesome Falcon talk on the show. We can continue on, but I want to talk about some of the other stuff you got going on, man. So when you moved on and moved on with your career, you started a foundation. I want you to tell me a little bit about your foundation, what's involved with it.
Of course. I work with I have an environmental foundation that's all about using sports to promote sustainability, and not everyone understands what sustainability means. It's all about just doing right by the planet, doing right by your environment, everything from waste management to recycling to your carbon footprint, and just how you treat the planet. Because we say we love our kids are the future. They're the most important things to us, for those who have kids, and those who even don't have kids. And you talk about how the next generation is so important, but we don't back that up with actions that will actually give our kids that future.
Right.
We when it comes to the environment, we're like, it's tree huggers and polar bears and rainbows. That's not my thing.
Right.
Especially people in the African American community, they think that or underserviced youth, or just people who feel like it's somebody else's issue, somebody else's problem, somebody else will fix it, or it's not that big of a deal. The people who care the least about the environment are the ones affected the most by it. They have the coal plants in their neighborhood, the landfills in their neighborhood. They have higher rates of asthma. They have diseases they can't pronounce or spell. Look at Flint, Michigan. It wasn't happening in Country Club.
Nope.
BP oil spill. These things happen with the working people. And those same people, we don't care about the environment, but they don't know why they should care. And so we use the power of sports and the ability to reach out to a different segment of the population to promote sustainability. We teach people how to save green and make green by going green. So as far as I know, I think I'm the only NFL player with the environmental foundation. And I'm trying to change that because more NFL guys need to talk about this whole going green thing, because as much money I made, I made millions of dollars in my career. I got, hundreds of thousands of fans, people who watched me over the years. I got all the fame, that good stuff. I can give my kids almost anything they want right now. Yeah. The only thing I can't give my kids is a secure and bright future. I can't give them a better air quality. I can't buy air. I can't put them in a bubble. I can't give them clean waters and clean oceans without all that stuff floating in it, or, people say, oh, you can go in the lake on certain days because it's the toxicity level's too high. I can't fix that just with my career. I got to use my platform in order to change the mindset, change the culture, change the conversation with people. Because most people, especially, African Americans, unfortunately, we don't talk about the environment. It's not a conversation. There's no water cooler talk about the environment.
Yeah.
There just isn't. But if you have more, if you had Peyton Manning right now, or Tom Brady, Derek Carr, anybody say, hey, you know what? Hey, everyone who watches me, who loves the game of football, who loves sport, y'all do realize that we got to breathe air to play this sport. Our air quality is getting worse every single year. You know why? Because of us. Let's fix it. Let's do some simple things, some practical lifestyle changes. I want to breathe without wearing a gas mask. There's something on Twitter about how right now in China they're selling gas masks so people can jog, and it's like an iPod. It's hooked up to your arm, and it cleans the air so you can run and not be too tired or have that stuff in your lungs.
God.
That's right now. That's not later. They have smog rolling in certain times of the day, just like when we have fog rolling in or whatever. They have smog rolling in. That's the reality. That can be our reality in 20, 40, 60 years.
Right.
And you're going to feel real stupid if you said, man, it's not a big problem. The polar ice caps are moving so slowly. California ain't going to fall into the ocean. These things, global warming is a myth. It's political. It's whatever. If you fall into that foolishness, you're going to feel real stupid when your grandkids ask you, Daddy, why didn't you do something? Like you talked about how you loved me and you loved, my parents, your children. Why you ain't do something?
Yes.
So that's the conversation I do not want to have with my grandchildren, which is why I'm trying to do whatever I can just to spread the word and get people to understand why they should care.
That makes it. Now, let me ask you, now you having that Nigerian background and, being from there, y'all may have more appreciation for the environment, for the earth. Sometimes here, U.S., you know what I'm saying, we basically, what is it? We don't have the appreciation for a lot of things that we're granted and that we're given. Our society is a fat culture. Everything is waste and excess, and everything's gonna be there, and we don't care about the sustainability and emissions and air and all that other stuff. Does being from the culture that you're from, do you think that helps you to have a greater or better appreciation for the earth?
Absolutely. No, I think that's absolutely makes me appreciate the planet and the earth. Makes me appreciate everything because back in my country, my parents tell me all types of stories where they didn't have much. Mm-hmm. They started from meager beginnings and they didn't have much to really get them to where they can live happy, healthy lives. So the opportunity to be in this country, take advantage